Right, hello. Welcome to this tutorial on making cereal in Blender. This has taken me quite a few attempts, as you can see. I'll also show you some videos of my attempts. I've finally got it to work, and I've also got a file of my final serial animate where I made my final serial animation. That will be on my Gumroad store. There'll be a link in the description where you can check that out. You'll also have access to a lot of textures that I used. I won't be showing you the textures in this tutorial, but you can download them in the file in the Gumroad store, and you can attach them to whatever you want to make in Blender. Afterwards you can use them in any Blender file. I'll teach you how to append them. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so to open up, to start this tutorial, we'll open up in general. Okay, delete the default cube as always. Okay, and we're going to start off by making the bowl. So we'll press Shift A and we'll add a circle. Probably change the vertices to 64. Then we'll go into edit mode. We'll extrude and scale by pressing E and S. Just scale it out. Then grab the vertices on the Z axis, pull them up, like so. And then we want more edge loops in here, so we'll press Ctrl R and we'll just pull up on our mouse, add it on the vertices, and there we go. Okay, now at the bottom here, we want to add a face, so we'll press Alt and click, then we'll press F to fill it. Okay, and then we'll want to add a ton of vertices here at the bottom too, so we'll press I, move it in, I again, and we'll just keep doing this until there's enough vertices. These vertices will come in quite important later in order to make sure the liquid, when we're using the fluid simulation, the liquid doesn't just pour right out of the bowl. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll come back here, press Alt and then click, and then we want to press Ctrl B to give it a bevel. Okay, and you can add how many lines of vertices you want by scrolling up and down on your mouse. Okay, I say that's fine. Okay, so just like that. Okay, then we'll grab them all at the top here, and then we'll press E, scale up a little. Oh, yeah, this tends to happen quite a bit. Control Z to reverse. So just press A to make sure that you've got all the vertices. Then I'll press E, pull it up, E again, and again. Now, some people would use the solidifier modifier, which does work. It is good for rigid body physics, but for whatever reason, when it comes to the fluid simulation, it works terribly. It's no good. So what we're going to need to do here is just keep adding vertices ourselves, and then we can also add a subsurf modifier, which will add a ton more vertices. we'll need to go into object mode to apply it. Probably press shade smooth on this too. Okay, apply. Okay, and we should have, yep, have tons of vertices now. I'll just pull it up again. Okay, and this should ensure that when we're using the fluid simulation that none of the fluid just pours right out. We'll also need to put it to a higher resolution. Depending on how powerful your PC is, that could be a bit of an issue. Alright, now we've got this, we'll add a floor and just add a plane, scale it out, that'll do, and then I'll add a backdrop. Might not be necessary depending on how you put your camera, but it's just something I always do. Okay, Shift D, rotate on the Y axis, get us to 90. Grab, put it back on the X axis. Now depending on where you add this, that's the Y axis, the green one, and the X axis is the red one. And if you're from this angle, then obviously rotate on the Y. But if you're from here and you see the red line, you might want to rotate it on the X, and you just do that by pressing R and X, or R and Y. Okay, now we've done that, we also want to add a spoon. Now the way we might want to, the quick way to do this is we'll go into edit, go to your preferences, and where it says X, you want to add the add mesh extra objects, you want to click on that if you haven't already. I already have, so it's feeling no need for it. Okay, but now that you've done that, press Shift A. You'll come down here to mesh. Oh. For some reason there's no here we are, extra, and then where it says teapot plus, click on the teapot, and then where it says object type, teapot and teaspoon. Okay, and then you might want to put the resolution up a wee bit. Okay, you might want to scale this up. And then I'll rotate it. Rotate it again, just to the point where it's sitting on the bowl. Okay, shade smooth, make it look a bit nicer. Okay, and there we go. We've got everything to look like we're getting ready for some cereal. Now, for our cereal, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to add the monkey head. So we'll use that as our cereal, but you can use whatever you want. So grab this, grab it up. The problem with the monkey head though, well, the one I've noticed, is a lot of the vertices, especially with the eyes, are completely separate from the rest of the mesh, which can be a bit of an issue, especially when you're adding rigid body physics and then the array modifier. So what we're going to want to do is select all these vertices, go to mesh, and then where it says merge, right, go merge by distance, pull the distance up a wee bit, probably just say to a point 0.02, and then that should be that, and then the eyes should be merged to the rest of the mesh at that point. Now that we've done that, go back to object mode, scale this down a wee bit so it looks like a wee piece of cereal. Okay, and then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the physics properties here, rigid body, and I'd probably set this where it says mass, probably 0.001, alright, because cereal isn't exactly that heavy. Now you can also add the fluid simulation here to an effector where it says type, just go to effector. That might make it look a wee bit better when it comes to the liquid, although you could just not have this and it could just sink, depending on how you want your fluid simulation to be. If you want your cereal at the top of the fluid, or if you're wanting it to be submerged. If you want it to be submerged and just go into the cereal, there's really no need for this, but you can have it, it's up to you. But I'd recommend you do all of this before the array. There is, because it will just save you a few steps. Now that you've done this, you want to add the modifier, go to the array modifier, and then we want to, well, I want to have it up on the z-axis, so put the x-axis to 0, scroll up on the x-axis a wee bit, just to the point where you see it, and you can add as many of these as you like. Just bear in mind that the slower your computer is, the more you put in, the slower your computer is going to be. If you've got a fast computer, you can have more. If you've got a slower computer, you might want to use less. I'm just going to use 10. Okay. Now that we've got that, probably just shade smooth this too. Oh, another thing you might want to add before applying the array is a texture. Now you can use whatever texture you want. If you downloaded my file on Gumroad, you should be able to come here to File, and then you can append when you're in object mode. You can here and append a file from any other blend file. If you've downloaded my blend file, you'll be able to append the textures that I used in my final. But I'm just going to use this basic one right now. Just call it cereal. Just add a sort of palish sort of cereal type texture. Now that I've done that, I'll go back to layout mode. Okay, I think this is all good now, so we'll apply, and then what we need to do is, now that we've applied that, we need to go into edit mode here, go to mesh, separate by loose parts. Okay, now I've done that, we'll go into object mode, go into object, set origin, and origin to geometry. So now all of these have their own origin points, which will be really important when it comes to a rigid body. Okay, now I'm going to pull these up a wee bit, right up to the sky. Okay, now we're going to work on our fluid simulation. Okay, so the way we'll do that first is we'll go Shift A, and add a cube. Grab that up, We need to scale this up to. You may want to come in a wireframe mode here. Just it'll be easier to kind of see what you're doing. Okay, now that we've added the cube, we'll add our sphere by pressing Shift A and go to UV sphere. Grab that up and we'll scale this down a bit. Okay, and you still want this over the bowl though. Okay, now in order to apply a fluid sim, what we're going to need to do is go to the physics properties here. When we're on the cube, we'll go to the fluid sim and we'll use the cube as our domain. Okay, set the domain to liquid. Set the resolution to, I'd probably say 64 or higher. I think I used 128 in my final render for my one that for my file that I'll be up on my Gumroad store. But you can, I think 64 will be enough. Anything more than that and it starts to look a bit weird. Okay, then we need to go to mesh, click on mesh. Okay, and for your cache here, you'll pick a suitable place to save it. You really want to keep an eye on where you save this, because this can, depend on the resolution, this can be quite high. So this can be take a lot of memory, so you might want to keep that in mind. Okay, we'll go to sphere, add a fluid, and we'll set the sphere to flow. Set the flow type to liquid, flow behavior to inflow, and that should be that. And then for the bowl and also the spoon, you might want to set the type to effector. And do the same with the spoon here. Okay, now we've done all of that, we'll come back to domain, and then we'll go to type and then press all, and then you can bake. Now this does take a while. Also, you're probably going to have to bake it a few times because we'll need to go into our flow here, our sphere at the top, and then this is quite important. You might want to set keyframes here. So let's say once it's at the frame 10, you might want to add a keyframe by coming here, click on it, and then for frame 11 you might want to click on this and then click another flame there. That will stop it from flowing, so it will stop the liquid from just pouring, because if you keep it pouring on and on, it will probably just completely fill, it will spill over and it will look like a mess. So you want to stop it at a certain point. So I recommend what you do is you first bake it first, see what frame your bowl gets full at, and then whatever frame that is, you might want to keyframe it like I just did here, and then bake it again. I'm just going to use frame 10 here just as an instance. Once you're happy with what frames you've keyframed, just go here and you'll press bake, and then this will take a while, but once it's done you should have a fluid simulation, and you should also have these monkey heads coming down here, and they'll either be interacting with your fluid or they'll be syncing depending on where the fluid simulation depending if you've added an effector to them or not. Another thing is if the rigid body, like sometimes the monkey heads might just pour out of the bowl here, because the fluid simulation will affect the rigid body physics, and it'll just mess around with us. So what you can do is, if you're having that problem, you can go Shift A, add a sphere, scale up, get it to sort of the bowl's sort of where it's filling the bowl, and then you can go into edit mode here, and you can delete the vertices at the top, and then all of this you can add rigid body, type passive, and where it says shape here, you might want to change this to mesh. I don't know if I did that with the bowl, did I? Oh, I didn't even add rigid body to the bowl. Well, you need to add rigid body to the bowl too. Where it says mesh, just where it says shape, choose mesh. This will ensure that when the monkey heads come down into the bowl, they'll actually fall into the bowl. If you have it at what is default set at convex hull, it'll just sit on at the top, it'll just bounce off the top. Whereas with mesh, it'll actually fall in. And that's how you get things to fall in to your mesh. This is the exact same setup I used with the cookies that fell into the jar. But anyway, once you've done this and you've baked it and you've played the animation to make sure that all the monkey heads are behaving and working perfectly, you can animate it or take a picture, choose where you want to save it. You can come here, render image, render animation. You can change this to a video format, container, MP4. Choose where you want to save it. Then you can go to animation, render animation, once you've chosen the camera too. And choose where you put your camera by pressing Ctrl-Alt-0. You can change the resolution of your camera here. Oh, not here. If you want to use YouTube Shorts, I'd recommend 180 by 180. If you want it to be a proper video, the HD, just leave it as is. But yeah, once you've got all that sorted, it should work perfectly, like so. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, say so. You can also donate if you like, and you can go on my Gumroad store, and I've got free files that you can download for free. You can give me money if you want, I'm not going to say no to money, but you can download them for free if you want, and play around with the textures or the files, get an idea of what to do. Anyway, that's all. See ya.